Hello everyone, welcome back to the Greenlee Review. I know it's been a fat minute, close to 3 months since I've done one, but here we are reviewing Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Today I am joined with CWSpinach, DC Asteroid, and King Killian. Whichever one of y'all wants to go first, how are y'all doing? that was a bit sudden, but okay.
Now someone else.
So far, so good.
Yes.
So far, so good.
Asteroid, what about you, man? Dead silence.
Let's go, baby. That's one.
He's currently working on something. He'll let us know how he is after he's finished with this. So anyways, I went to see the movie on Sunday, and the amount of people that left the theater right before the end credit scene was actually astronomical. And I think this wasn't just a one-time thing for my theater. All across TikTok, I've seen people leave the theater before the end credit scene. Like 3/4 of the entire theater leaving. It's like, you've never done this before? Why now all of a sudden?
Well, you just be honest. And let's just be like blatantly honest. Venom 2 did not live up to
I wouldn't say that.
I mean, and expectations in terms of what exactly? Like the first one?
mean, oh no, it's miles better than the first one. That's for sure. But it just didn't live up to what it wasn't what people were making it out to be, like hoping for it to be.
Like in terms of pacing, actually, we'll get into that soon. We'll get into that soon. I don't want to like start doing it until we introduce each other and just go from there, because if we start it, we'll never come back to it.
No.
Exactly. So, Asteroid, are you good? You good now?
While we're waiting for Asteroid, I guess I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
That's
I have
good.
A day off, so
Nice. Wait, where did you say you worked again?
I work at I'm a cheer coach in a city about 40 minutes away from me.
40 minutes?
And
oh, goodness.
Yeah. Then I'm a manager at a trampoline park.
Oh, so your pay's pretty good, huh?
We'll leave that undisclosed.
Okay.
Twitch stream.
Right.
What did you say in one of your videos, Spinach, where you said some parent left their kid up there?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Some parent just straight up left their kid at this place, and we're just like, "Do you know your parents' phone number?" Like, no. Okay, what's your dad's name? Steven. He's like, okay, what's his last name? I don't know. Okay, what's your last name? I don't know. And so like, we went through like full on like detective mode to try to find out when this kid got accepted, like when he was admitted into the trampoline park, what his name was, what his parents' name was. We finally got a hold of his parents. They were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. We forgot about him. We'll come back and get him." And then like 2 hours later, this kid had been there for like 6 hours at this point.
Good lord.
His parents get here and like, we're so sorry. We have 10 kids. And this one just kind of, yeah. And they let this one just slip through the cracks. Like, so moral of the story: don't bust out kids like Fast and Furious movies, or just like Fast and Furious movies. You're gonna lose track of what's going on after the third or fourth.
Oh, that's a perfect example. That is a perfect example. Oh my god. At first, because like whenever you said the story, I thought like, damn. How do you go like halfway home, forget your child, and then realize once you get home, oh hey, our child's gone. But then once it's like, the 10, it's like, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense a little bit.
Oh, and this kid's parents lived in Salt Lake City. I work in Provo.
Oh
this
no.
Place is like an hour away. So
that's terrible. The fact that it took them that long to realize, oh, our child's gone.
I didn't even realize till we called them.
How did you find out their number? Because like, the kid didn't even know.
Well, yeah. So like, we give like wristbands. Like, if like they pay for a certain amount of time, then we'll go from like the time they arrived, and we'll call their wristband, and like they'll say like, so what time did you get here? Oh, we got here at 4. If it's 6 o'clock, we know like, okay, we gave you like, you got here like 2 hours ago. So we'll just like go through the sales and things like that and see like find the waiver attached to the sale. It's a very complicated process.
That sounds complicated. Like so many steps for just one thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a mess. But yeah, doing that and school, and I finally got a day off today, so I'm gonna do all the things that I haven't done in 2 weeks, like laundry and every homework assignment I didn't do.
Oh, I bet you're swamped with homework as it stands, huh?
Oh, I'm so swamped. I got sick 2 days last week, and that put me like way behind.
I'm actually coming down with something myself, so you know that's fun. Allergy season. It's great.
Drink all the vitamin C. Drink all the vitamin C and just power through it.
Eat all the Flintstone gummies, then I'll be immortal. I'll never die.
It's facts.
Honestly, I mean, it's fighting off COVID, so, you know, imagine the entire box. I then become God at that point. DC, are you good? God, he's just gone quiet.
Where is he?
I don't know. He said he was going to do something with Twitch. Anyways, we'll wait for him. I guess we won't wait for him to come back. We'll just say it how it is. All right, so, again.
Wait, did we introduce Killian already?
Oh, Killian, yeah. You went, didn't you? Didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I remember him saying something, but I wasn't positive. I was like, oh, damn, I feel like an ass.
I remember this. I was thinking the same thing. Like Killian definitely said something, but I didn't recognize that introduction, I guess. But oh well.
I think it's because everyone was talking at once. Oh, my bad.
Well, for those who don't know, I am King Killian. Nice to meet you guys. As Spinach was saying, man, college is definitely a total drag, and I haven't even been in there that long. Like, I've just enrolled, and I'm like, oh, God. 100%.
Sneaks up on you, and it just absolutely destroys your mental state.
Yeah, like, you never really know how valuable your time is until you do something that takes up your time. And I'm like, oh, God.
Exactly.
Or spend too much time around people who waste your time.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true.
And it was deep.
All right, so Venom, Let There Be Carnage. On a scale of 1 to 10 for each of y'all, what would you rate this movie? And I would say explain why, but then that would take away from explaining the movie, because there we go, we already did it. So
There we go.
All right, Asteroid, you're back. How are you doing, my guy?
Here.
You're finally back.
Okay, then I'll go first. Okay, so obviously I'm basing mine off of expectations. So as a movie, I would say Venom 2 would be a strong. I mean, I didn't really see no problems. Tom Hardy did good. Lee Harrelson did good. I would say strong 8.5. No, actually, I'd probably say 9. But if you want to talk about expectation-wise, on a scale from 1 to 10, it did not live that high up to expectations. So in that category, I would say it's 6.
Okay. All right. That seems reasonable. Spinach, what about you, man?
I would give it a 7. I mean, that's kind of the same review that IGN gave, but I would agree with it. Just because, like, it wasn't like the best movie ever, okay? But I found it wildly entertaining. Venom was still he was consistent with his character in the last movie. It was fresh. It was like it didn't feel awkward. Like a lot of sequels, I feel like awkward, like you're reintroduced to this character after so many years or things like that. Like it felt seamless. Like I was reintroduced to Venom, and he was like, oh yeah, this is totally the guy. There are some things I would have liked to see more of, which we will get into in a little bit. But overall, I would give it a 7 out of 10.
All right, that's reasonable. I mean, at least the sequel's better than literally every single Fast and Furious sequel.
Oh yeah.
Just reintroduce the same damn thing over and over again until you get to space, and then it's like, where do you go from there?
Cargo Fast 42.
Oh damn! All right, DC. What about you, man? If you're here,
I'm just gonna say some. I was expecting a lot. However, I did have some, enjoyments out of the film
Mhm.
for a Venom movie. I think Andy Serkis did a good job. And oh my god, spinach! What is this? Spinach. Okay, sorry. God.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to think, but I'm looking at Skim right here. He's just looking like so.
Why is that? Why is it so weird like that?
Celebrity Paul Walker. God.
Paul Walker. Oh no.
I'm sorry. Okay. keep going, Asteroid. I'm sorry.
Okay. For the character, the one problem I'm having, or at least I'm noticing so far, I just saw it recently, is Carnage himself.
Mhm.
I was expecting I know it's supposed to be, Marvel has this rule for like PG-13 movies, but I was expecting for, a psycho Carnage, because the history of Carnage, he's like the symbiote is a psycho itself. But I was expecting his voice. I like how Woody did voice Carnage, or so I think, but how they what totally set me off, or what I guess we were trying something new in the movie, or instead of psychopathic like Carnage voice, we got this pure death voice, like total voice of death. I mean, and I think it's not bad. I mean, I could go for something new, but I was expecting something classic. However, what was the one? I thought maybe I do think Shriek is I think that the love they have for the story for Shriek and Cassidy, I guess the story for them is respectable in my opinion. And I'll tell you later, but I think Shriek is alive. But I do like that. I definitely laughed around the parts of the movie, especially spoilers who haven't seen it. I especially love that scene where Eddie was like writing a report, and then Venom took over and quickly typed down "dick" and said "food." That was really funny. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, I enjoyed the movie. Carnage. The only problem I had so far was Carnage. Um, and I guess the dramatic ending for Cassidy. I was expecting something more dramatic for a most very dangerous character. But yeah, I think it was a good movie. I'll give it like I don't know, how am I gonna rate? I think it's a good movie. A good movie. That's what I say.
Okay. All right. And for me, I would give it, and I know this is going to sound weird, because I actually thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I actually like the CGI work. Granted, there's not going to be perfect CGI. They couldn't do that with Godzilla vs. Kong, as we've seen Kong's arm going through an entire building. But that, yeah, regardless, if you just look past that, the CGI was good. It was fast paced. The cinematography work, since I'm a cinematography student here at UNT, I thought it was fine. And I'll get more into that as it goes on. But the whole, I guess, what would you say? Keeping to the comics a little bit, but not too much, kind of helped in a sense. And again, I'll say it one more time. CGI work really did justice for both Venom and Carnage, unlike the first movie. But as a rating, I would probably give this 8.5 to a 9. And I know a lot of people say, like, oh, it's a 3 and whatnot, but I don't understand how that makes any sense. I mean, and half of the people who say it's like a 4 or lower are most likely kids. They don't understand it. And yeah, I agree with the it shouldn't have been PG, it should be rated R, because it's symbiotes. Look at these things. They're supposed to be like demonic. They look demonic in nature. It's meant to be like
alien.
Exactly, and they look
dang
scary. Exactly. So the PG-13 aspect, I don't really agree with, because like you can make Deadpool rated R and no one bats an eye, but with this, it's like it should just be rated R. So yeah, I gave it 8.5 to 9. So I love the CGI work and all that good stuff. So to start off, let's talk about Venom's character and Carnage's character just a little bit. I know Asteroid went into this just a little bit. But what were your thoughts on that as it progressed throughout the entire movie? Any one of y'all can go.
For me, if I can go first, I'm sorry. For me, I would definitely say, even though he did not have nearly as much of screen time, I would definitely say Carnage had the better character between Venom and him. Um, I don't really like how they basically they kind of overdid Venom, like the symbiote itself. Like when he left from Eddie and started doing his own thing. Spoiler warnings for those who haven't seen it. When he kind of left and started doing his own thing, and basically it kind of this overdid it just a tad bit. While Carnage was kind of on point and more mainstream, and I was okay. He stayed on point, and yeah, and like I said, Venom definitely had more screen time than Carnage, but Carnage definitely had the better character. Obviously, it's nowhere near his, comic book counterpart, but between him and Venom in the movie, I would say Carnage definitely had the better character. So, Asteroid said this earlier. If I can just speak on it for a little bit, the whole Screech character, love story between Cletus and Screech, it did not. If it was going to play a intricate part in the movie, they should have, explained it a little bit more. They kind of really that was very dry. Like,
I agree.
okay, we see them talking through an asylum wall for 5 seconds, but we're supposed to understand that they're deeply in love with each other. I gotta be honest, man. The actor for Screech, was it Naomi Harris? If I'm not mistaken.
I think so. I want to say that's correct.
The same chick who played Tia Dalma in Pirates.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing when I was watching. I'm like, yo, this is Calypso. I know it is.
Yeah, I haven't seen that lady in like 10 years.
She's changed, dude. Like, have you noticed that? She changed.
Yeah,
I thought she was younger. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah, same. I was like, that can't be the same girl. There's no way. But I think it is. I think it is Tia Dalma.
It's hard to recognize her without like the whole like Tia Dalma getup.
Exactly.
I haven't seen her in another movie since.
Right, and if I'm being honest, she kind of. I don't want to say she did a bad job. I don't want to discredit or down anybody. Maybe if she just didn't do as good of a job as she should have. Who knows? Maybe it's because she's in a movie with Tom Hardy and Woody Harrelson. For God's sake, but she was. I don't know. Her acting wasn't. It just wasn't fair for me. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's kind of where I stand. But yeah, Carnage definitely has the better character. Had the better character between him and Venom. So
I would say, like,
yeah, I agree.
Shriek.
I agree.
Yeah.
Shriek, legitimately, I didn't find a reason as to why she needed to be in there. Like, if you were to go through Scream or Shriek, I don't care. I mean, nothing against the actor, but her character wasn't even needed. Like, if you were to actually look back through the entire movie, there's like a few points where I guess, yeah, she's needed, but that's it. She's the only reason she's there is for Cletus's love interest, and that's it. And like also a conflict between Carnage and Cletus, which I can get into soon, but I'm not gonna get into that just yet. But I didn't find, like, her and Dan, dude. Dan played a bigger part in this movie than she did, low key. But like, it just is what it is. Spinach, Asteroid, what do y'all think about the character developments for both Carnage and Venom?
So, like I said, Venom I thought was like it was funny, but it was also like I was really looking forward to see like Venom be Venom, like rip people's heads off, things like that. 'Cause, like that's kind of what he's the lethal protector, and I like that reference that they made several times through the movie.
Lethal protector.
yeah, that was good.
Yeah, good. It was. I enjoyed that reference. It had a nice comedic twist to it. Like, like Venom's entire attitude the entire movie was, I can totally do this, so why am I not doing it? And Tom Hardy is needing to like act like a dad talking to a toddler. Like, no, we don't bite people. He's like, but we can. Why? So like that was fun. But I will be honest, I wish we saw more of like Venom doing his like ID murder thing.
And hold on, Spinach. Sorry to interrupt, but if I could state an unpopular opinion for a second, that is exactly why. Like literally, that is the exact reason why Topher Grace is the better Venom. Topher Grace is by far the better Venom. Not comic wise, but movie wise, he's way better.
Quick rebuttal: he had like 10 minutes of screen time,
and he's 5'11". That's also another thing.
That's true.
I mean,
well, how big is Venom supposed to be?
Well, he's supposed to be like 7 feet tall, like 8 feet tall.
7 feet tall, yeah. He's huge.
Yeah, he's supposed to be giant. That's how he is in the comics.
Oh, well, but then that wouldn't be accurate because Topher Grace's Venom he got his Venom after contact with Spider-Man, so his Venom was supposed to be exactly like Spider-Man.
What? No. Here, real quick. So the history of Venom is that's how Venom always has been, right? So first the symbiote goes to Spider-Man, right? Like that's how the original thing was. Like the symbiote goes to Spider-Man, and then after being rejected by Spider-Man, the symbiote immediately goes to Eddie Brock. This is comics, by the way. Goes to Eddie Brock, who feeds off of Eddie's hatred toward Spider-Man and becomes Venom as we know him, who ever since then has been a beefy, bulky dude, like upwards of 7 feet tall, with the exception maybe of Agent Venom.
Mm-hmm.
But Venom has always been like size-wise, like very large, sometimes on par with the Incredible Hulk.
And it wasn't, and if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not very good when it comes to comics. Eventually, actually, Venom gave Eddie Brock cancer, and he had to reject him, or actually, Venom rejected him, and then anti-Venom was a thing that Eddie Brock had, and then once Venom tried to come back, it actually, hold on, let me back up. He got treatment for cancer, Venom tried to come back, it actually mixed together, rejected Venom, but created anti-Venom, so to speak, and then Venom went somewhere else, is that right?
That sounds about right, I think.
Okay, I wasn't positive.
Yeah, the symbiote, Venom, the symbiote, he went to try to kill, like, one of his former, like, hosts or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he did, he discovered that he had been infected with the anti-Venom. And at that time, Venom's host was, like, a kind of a loser, a psychopath,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak. He just wasn't as cool. And so, like, it was okay for him to get his trash kicked.
And speaking of, I'm sorry, Spinach. You actually keep going. I'm not gonna interrupt. Go, keep going.
Well, yeah. So that, I mean, backtracking. I enjoyed Venom. Venom has and probably always will be one like my favorite comic book character. I just wanted to see him more bitey. As far as Carnage goes, I was like, I've never been sold on the idea of Carnage. Just like he's just something just didn't sit right. Like I just didn't like him very much. This movie definitely helped me enjoy him more. Somebody made the comments about the deep death voice. I think that was DC. I agree with that. Yeah. Like I've always thought like Carnage has like a very high pitched or like shrill,
psychotic, like
like nails on a chalkboard sort of voice.
Like Ichigo whenever he's turning into his hollow kind of thing, a little bit, and like maybe I don't know,
something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
Okay.
But and he was really big. I've always thought that Carnage is supposed to be like smaller than Venom, but he's on
he's on the slimmer side.
Yeah, he's on
because he killed all those. He's using all those people's like blood and like flesh to help him build bigger. Because if you saw when he ate that priest, he grew like an extra foot, and he like grew like a lot thinner or bigger.
No, right. But like even from the get go, he was already like 7 feet tall. He was the same height as Venom, just a little more lean.
Yeah, you could see that in the in the prison scene. Like as he's walking towards the prison guards, he looks pretty damn big. like
Oh,
just
yeah, that's-
as it is.
Yeah, so that was my thing. This is one more small note before we
Mhm.
go on. Yeah, one more small note before we go on. Like, I've never understood why Carnage is able to like create all these weapons and things like that, but Venom is just like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Oh, actually, I think I have an answer to that, if you don't mind me.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so apparently in the comics, and this is what I like about the Venom movie, is they play towards the comics just a little bit, but not exactly, considering they're trying to make a whole new like aspect of the Marvel universe, so to speak. But since Carnage and Cletus Clay are basically made up of like blood, so to speak, Carnage was created because of Venom or Eddie Brock's blood. That's how that worked. So the fact that they are paired together by blood means that since your body has so many blood cells, I believe there's a movie, not a movie, a video that Film Theory came out with actually just yesterday, where, like, something about the blood cells in your body. You have so many excess blood cells that with the amount that you would have in terms of Carnage and Cletus Clay, you could literally use the excess blood cells to create weapons. That is something that actually happened in the comics. So that on top of like not being able to, and this is something else that I'm gonna go on a tangent here just for a second. In the comics, Carnage is not supposed to be affected by sound or I guess fire, quote unquote. I'm not positive on that, but based off of Film Theory, based on what I saw, he's not supposed to be affected by sound. But in the movie itself, whenever the bell's ringing, he is affected by it. So that doesn't really make sense to me. But yes, in terms of him being able to make weapons, there's so much, the blood cells have something to do with that. So yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So like my thought process was like, you know, the symbiotes have access to like whatever their human counterpart has, like like what's his face in the first movie? No, he wasn't. Yeah, Riot. He wasn't blood bonded, but he could still create weapons for some reason.
Yeah,
I thought it was just limited to the creativity of like the host, and you know, since Cletus Cassidy is a serial killer, his brain works different. And not to like say like, oh yeah, this is a good thing for serial killer, like, but that would make him a little more creative,
right?
Like,
well,
since he's got like, yeah.
Well, since, and this is something else that I'm gonna keep up bringing Film Theory because it actually brought up a lot. So the reason Carnage is the way that he is, on top of you know, with Cletus Clay, is their mindsets are literally the exact same. They are, let me think. I'm trying to think. Where is it? The same as Cletus. Their connection is pretty bad as seen in the movie, as they were literally, you know how whenever Eddie and Venom, they're like, we are Venom. With Carnage and Cletus, they just say, I am Carnage. It's not like a neural bond that they have, so to speak. So,
right, yeah.
With Carnage, it's I wrote it down, dude. Where is it? Please, I'm losing my train of thought. Anyways, it's basically like it's like chaotic, homicidal, and just complete crazy. That is basically Carnage and Cletus at the same time, which isn't good. Unlike with Venom and Eddie, where Eddie's mindset is goal-driven, focused, and strategic, while Venom's is chaotic, impulsive, and distracted, which basically balances each other out. So it's basically two minds working together to beat off that did not sound right, to beat the other person. So yeah, that's basically how that works. That's why Carnage was not as, I guess, I wouldn't say as strong, because he was strong, but as determined to beat Venom as, I guess, in the comics, so to speak.
Well, as far as how Carnage goes, I did kind of like how they basically they didn't want to parallel the two between Carnage and Venom. They kind of wanted to show the difference. Whereas you kind of see that Carnage, he's in control. He's just in Cletus's body.
Exactly.
Like there were several times in the film where Cletus tried to like distance himself from Carnage, and Carnage is like, "Oh no, you know, you're my host. where Eddie kind of just babysits Venom. You know what I mean?
Right. It's like a I guess it's I'm trying to think of a way to compare the two. It's like a boyfriend girlfriend kind of thing where they have arguments over the stupidest things, and then they're like, no, that's not how I like it, and then they just leave, and then they come back, and then it's basically like that, or like a really weird friendship. You know, it's like a toxic friendship in a sense.
Yeah, Dan explained it perfectly. He's like, those two really need couples.
Yeah, couples counseling.
Yeah.
Exactly like that. But you know, I guess we'll go into this a bit sooner. Maybe we'll get into the whole why doesn't Venom have the classic spider thing on his chest, which we'll get into that soon.
Spider-Man.
That is true. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. I'm gonna wait for that. Just we're not gonna talk about it just yet. Now let's talk about the CGI aspect and the pacing of the movie. What did you all think about that? How could it have changed? What could you all have done different?
The CGI for me was great. It was fantastic. No complaints there. Yeah, Legendary could really learn a thing or two. But yeah, it was definitely no complaints there. As far as pacing goes, how do I put this? I mean, it's like a good portion of the film is pretty much just. It's just a good portion of the film is pretty much just hearing Eddie and Venom bickering. Like, I'm not saying, you never want to get right into the story too soon, but, maybe they could have had like some other, that's where, perfect time for like, side characters or side plots come in or whatever, stuff like that. Just see them, a little bit more in action besides just them bickering and fighting and fussing on, deciding how much chocolate Venom is going to eat the next day or, something like that.
Right. Or like give backstory to Screech so she actually has a purpose in this movie.
Right. Not just, oh my God, we talked through an asylum wall. We're so deeply in love. Like,
exactly.
How are we supposed to understand that? You could have expressed it a little bit more.
Right. No, I completely agree with that because it was kind of just so sudden. And you're like, okay, well, that's cool. Why should I care? And then, it doesn't make sense. And like, there's some points where they could have like, I guess, put a few scenes in, like the chapel scene right before before they get the father or whatnot, because they kind of just instantly went to that, and it's like, oh, okay, well, what led up to that? Like, how did you get there? So,
where did they get the priest from?
Yeah, how did you get where did you get what's her face, the woman? Where'd you get her? Where'd you get Anne? Because it kind of just cut. You got to Dan.
How did she get her? She didn't have a car.
Exactly, and who got her?
How did she get there in the first place?
I don't know.
Oh, another big thing for me is I like how Carnage recognized Venom as father, but Venom never threw it back. Like, that would have been nice to see a conflict where Venom was like, it's time for me to kill you, father. But I mean, Carnage was like, it's time for me to kill you, father. But Venom never really I'm not gonna say he doesn't notice that. He just kind of ignores it. Like, that would have been nice to see, like a conflict. Like, this is technically my offspring in a way. It's a little bit more they could have done with it. But I did like how Carnage kind of threw that out there in the cathedral scene where he kind of like he acknowledged that Venom is his father, but Venom didn't acknowledge it acknowledge it as him as a son or acknowledge it back. And I was like,
he was too busy shitting his pants, so that's why.
Which was funny, and I honestly wish they would have made like a child support joke or something like that right there. I thought that would have been hilarious. Really funny. Yeah. That whole scene right there was one of my favorites of the whole movie. But like, I don't even know like that Venom even knew that. I don't even think he knew Carnage existed until about 5 minutes beforehand, and then was like,
"Oh shit, that is a red one."
How would he know that's it's his son?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if symbiotes know that.
How would Carnage be aware? Yeah.
Huh. That's a good question.
I mean, well, in the comics, wasn't he aware?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if if in the comics the symbiotes are aware that they can make offsprings, because in the comics, isn't it just Venom that only ever has offsprings?
No, Carnage gives birth to Toxin, right?
Yeah,
Toxin. Which was a nod to the. Did you guys
reference to the movie?
Oh, it's the mix.
The detective.
Yeah,
The
he's gonna be
detective.
Toxin. He's gonna be one of the
Yeah.
strongest ones. Or they're gonna nerf him for the sole purpose of Venom winning, so it is what it is.
Oh
Or
yeah,
it's
and as
probably like
far
a
as
poison dart frog.
Mhm.
You guys think that Shriek is
yeah,
still alive?
Oh,
well,
is
here's
Shriek
the thing.
still alive?
I don't
I'm not
know
sure
if
if
Bell.
Scream is alive because she had an.
bell on her. But what I remember is that there's this one symbiote called Scream. So
Oh
I think
yeah.
maybe she's like
That's the one in the movie. Like,
what?
that's the one in the movie. Like
And
her name is actually Scream.
doesn't she become a
but no, I thought there
symbiote
was this
though?
one symbiote named Scream. She's like yellow or something.
She's orange and yellow, I believe.
Yeah,
Wait, I
that's
thought
who.
that one. I thought that one died in the first movie. It was the one in the Life Foundation, the one that couldn't do 100% symbiosis or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that one died in the first one. In the first movie.
Maybe. Oh yeah, this. Oh yeah, Sinister Life Foundation, an organization that was preparing for the mad. Oh wait, that's the comics. That's not. That's not the movie. That's not the
Yeah,
movie.
but like, so she was the the chick who kept like screaming in this movie. That was supposed to be Scream.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's true.
Uh, jeez. Yeah, so she was supposed to. She was supposed to be a symbiote. I don't know why they didn't make her a symbiote at some point in the movie.
I think
But
they're
like,
leading up to something. That's what I want to say because the whole toxin aspect, that's definitely going to be something that they're going to do. I know that much, but I don't know where they're going to put that into the whole series. So that's a good question.
For me, it's so much more. Like, for example, when it comes to Ravencroft, where she was held, it was they had that was the perfect time that they could have did all the cameos they wanted. We could have seen Scorpion, we could have seen the
Oh
Vulture
wait,
because that's where they
wait.
are.
Sorry. Hold on. I just realized that they said that's like the first time in like the Venom movie, or the new movie that came out, um, in the Let There Be Carnage movie. They started adding mutants. I
Okay,
feel like they're gonna do some sort of like X Men
X-Men.
crossover or something.
They might, but I don't know how they're going to do it. And leading off what Killian said, I mean, yes, but remember, the universes were split until the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should talk. We should save that for last because I
Yeah,
do have some thoughts about that. But
yeah.
well, I mean, okay, so what about? Well, okay, maybe that's a different universe. Okay, I'm just gonna ask this, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong. So
Mhm.
just bear. This is me, make Does Craven the Hunter exist in Venom universe or not? Because
That's a good question. I have no idea. I think with the MCU, they're probably going to play towards the comic aspect. So he probably. I can't say anything because
Yeah, I don't know either. I know they're making a
I think
TV show
Crave
for him,
for Venom or for Craven.
Raven.
Um, I don't know, cause I'm trying to go up based off of like just what I know. I know Sony just announced a new Spider-Man game that's going to include Venom, and some people think that Craven is going to be in it too.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
Craven's
so.
going to be in it.
Based on that, I think Sony still owns the rights for Craven the Hunter. It's like that's why they're able to use Venom in like their games and stuff like that because Marvel's not like Disney is not like getting on them for like using those characters. So I think in technicality, Craven exists, but only in the
MCU.
no, not the MCU, the
Sony.
Sony verse. Yeah, like Venom.
That would make sense. Yeah, so he probably exists there. That would make sense.
Which actually is interesting because there's a comic line where Venom is using his role as lethal protector. There's like a whole like sub community of like mutants and like nasty like creatures and things like that, and they live basically in the sewers and in the underground, and Venom is their protector, basically.
Well,
And then Craven shows up and is like, "Alright, I'm gonna kick all your asses now."
just shows up, starts trouble. It's like, you know what? I got nothing better to do today. I'm gonna kick all your asses.
You know, when it comes to, I'm sorry, Green.
You're good. You're good. You go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, when it comes to movies, I know people tend to want to go for the actors or actresses with the bigger names.
Mhm.
But as far as playing Carnage, well, Cletus Cassidy, the young Cletus Cassidy in the beginning of the movie gave off a more psycho killer vibe than Woody Harrelson did. Like the young guy that played him,
Right.
that was talking to her through the wall. He actually and then he was red, and he actually gave off the vibe of somebody who's like an actual serial killer. Like I was like, okay, I felt it a lot more with him. And then Woody Harrelson came and kind of just, and this isn't a shot at him. It's just, like I said, maybe you definitely want to go for the actors with the bigger name because Woody Harrelson obviously the bigger name between the two, but I felt like that guy actually gave off the vibe of a true Cletus Cassidy.
And
unstable.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying he was just more unstable. Right when she told him that they were going to take her away, that's when you kind of seen the killer in him come out banging on the walls,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just flash forward to this, this middle-aged guy who's calm and collected, and he beats around the bush a lot, and like the young guy definitely gave off more of a serial killer vibe for sure.
Right, and I feel like with what you said, Killian, using the younger version, he's more immature. It would have been perfect with Carnage because Carnage is also that way. So it's like, no, I want to do things. No, I want to do things my way, which would have been perfect because they're not symbiotic. They're trying to work as one, but not together. They're like, no, don't kill her because she's my thing. And it's like, shut up. You're a part of me. I'm going to do my own thing. Having the younger version really would have played towards how Carnage and him would have acted because he's young. He's immature. He'll just do whatever he pleases. Unlike when you're older, granted it's a serial killer, he doesn't have any morals. With him, he'd be, I guess you could say, more mature. He has a better understanding of how things work. But if he was immature and younger, he doesn't have that concept. Like if he was in his mid-20s, or about mid-20s or something like that, he's still, I guess, getting akin to life, so to speak. And having Carnage be a part of that would absolutely destroy everything he ever knew about it, making him more insane. So, like, all that power would really get to his head.
Oh yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. And going back to what you just said, Grant. To just pretty much to have just been created. Once you guys agree that Carnage was way too aware,
Mm-hmm.
like they displayed it perfectly in Venom, the first Venom. Like, when Venom came to Earth, he first, fused with Eddie Brock. He wasn't exactly 100% aware. He still was figuring things out. Where Carnage just kind of comes and he's like, okay, yeah, I know what the hell to do. I know how I'm going to do this, and I know, like, no, you're supposed to kind of be, in that still figuring stuff out thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
way too aware.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. Something I will interject with is that, like, this, like, to me, it makes sense. Like, actually, no, hang on. Let me backtrack once again.
Okay.
So we're talking about, like, the conflict between, Cletus Cassidy and, Carnage himself.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like, I think it was good for the sake of the movie. I agree. Like, it would have been more fun to see, like, like the young Cletus Cassidy who's in his full, like, prime, like, homicide mode
Mm-hmm.
with Carnage. Definitely would make for a rated R film. But what I would say is, like, it kind of makes sense that Cletus is more mellow, but no less, like, homicidal. Because, like, you got to think, like, just because someone's a serial killer doesn't mean they're going to wear that on their sleeve. Like, for example, Ted Bundy. He's quite the name around here in Utah. We've got a cave where he hid all his bodies.
What?
Yeah, it's like 30 minutes from me. Yeah, Ted Bundy. He's super famous serial killer, And when he was convicted, when they took him into court, literally no one could believe that he did it. Just because he was like so calm, he was collected, he was polite, he was a good-looking individual. And so like just because someone's a serial killer doesn't mean like they are acting like it all the time.
Their morals are gone. They don't have any at that point.
Right. But like that doesn't mean that they're like woohoo sort of stuff like
exactly.
that. You know?
Right.
Like Ted Bundy is the perfect example. He was still a serial killer, but he was extremely high functioning. He just, like you said, he didn't have any morals. And so like I think Cletus Cassidy, when we meet him in the movie, is kind of at that point. Like he's like,
is he at the breaching moment? Is he at like the breaching of like going mentally insane to the point where it's like, because it seemed like it, like low-key, the way he was speaking, you know, and like these riddles and whatnot. I'm not sure. I mean, I've never met a serial killer in my life, so I wouldn't know. But like, was it
right? I don't know. In my opinion, like there's a very thin line between brilliance and madness.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see like these crazy, like Cletus Cassidy, I feel like is a good example of this. When as we see him in the movie, is just like, you know, he's reciting poetry that he created from memory, and he's like creating skylines in his room that he etched in the wall that resemble the San Francisco skyline perfectly.
Right.
Like, that requires a lot of intelligence, but he's also killing people.
But
so
another thing is he got mad, right? He literally, here's the thing I don't understand. The dude's a psycho. He likes to kill people, okay? He hid the bodies. He gives a legit clue to Eddie. Eddie solves it. He gets pissed off. How does that make any sense? If he didn't want anyone to know, why would you even say anything? Unless you're like, oh, let me just test my bounds. I'm already getting the death sentence. Or even at the time, he wasn't already getting that.
Well, that's something that actually I was going to talk about at some point, is because like they could have done a better job like exploring Cletus Cassidy. And let me hang on a second. Exploring Cletus Cassidy as a character.
Right.
Because
when
we did get information about him and his past, like it was very sporadic and like where did that come from? Like in the letter, things like that.
In the visuals that we saw, like, oh, I threw a hairdryer in my mother's bathtub, and you know, that she exploded.
I really don't like how. Yeah, I really don't like how they kind of he pretty much just said his whole life story or his whole origin in like 3 minutes while he was putting the beat down on Eddie Brock. You didn't tell the part where Cletus was abused by mommy and daddy. You didn't tell the part where even grandma did this. And I'm like, well, there you go. There's another 40 minutes of perfectly, or film we could have had, but you went down to 3 minutes with it. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was about to get to. Is like that's an excellent point, Killian. Is like we could have. The movie would have been a lot better if we had gotten that, like
a backstory as to why he's doing it.
Yeah, we need that exposition. We need to know, like, why is Cletus this way? Why is he mad at Eddie Brock? And then it's at the very end of the movie, we're like, oh, he's mad because he feels misrepresented and he wanted a friend in Eddie Brock, who they also explored Eddie Brock's like backstory a little bit. And as someone who's like understands the comics, like, oh yeah, like I totally knew that Eddie Brock was abused by his dad, and that his dad blames him for the death of his mom.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody else knows that.
Yeah, he just skimmed over it. Cletus Cassidy just said it, and everyone's like, "What?"
Furthermore, how does Cletus know that?
Exactly.
How does anybody know this? Like Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if I could interject and go back to the point that you made earlier, Spinach, as far as you understanding, kind of how Woody Harrelson played, the mature Cletus Cassidy. Yes, I agree, but you have to remember that because you have to. I look at it like you have to kind of base the character somewhat off of its symbiote. So yeah, a more, how do I put this, more out of his prime, humbled serial killer, that wouldn't really make sense for who Carnage is, because Carnage is he's an in his prime symbiote, a bloodthirsty symbiote, a killer, like killer mentality symbiote, and that would have went perfectly with a young Cletus Cassidy that was the same exact way. That would have made him even more dangerous.
Right.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. I was just saying that, like in the context of this movie, the conflict between Carnage and Cletus Cassidy made sense. But yes, I 100% agree with you. Like, be true to Carnage's character, we would have been better off with a younger Cletus Cassidy.
Right. And and I know we just talked about this, but I would have loved to see Carnage be more Carnage-y. You know what I mean? In terms of like, hey, I see you, I'm gonna kill you without a second thought. But here's the thing. Low-key, Carnage liked to talk. You know, like, I don't understand. He hesitated. I don't know if y'all saw that. He has moments throughout the film where it doesn't look like he's trying. You know what I mean? And you just have to assume, well, okay, I guess he's just not that strong. When in fact, Carnage is meant to be stronger than Venom, but you just have to have Venom win because, well, it's the MC. It's just how that works. But he didn't strike me as somebody who actually wanted to kill. You know? I mean, yeah, he had a good...
Right.
It just didn't make sense to me. It's like, dude, you're Carnage. Kill more people. I know that sounds wrong, but like, you're Carnage. Yeah. Be ruthless.
And yeah, no, Grant, I totally 100% agree with everything you're saying. And like, dude, you're bonded with literally a literal serial killer.
Exactly.
Like, that's even more help. We should give you more drive. And I don't really like how, like, immediately Carnage kind of had a goal. Like, okay, I'm gonna go kill the thing that created me. Like no, that's not really how he's represented. Like, in the comics, Venom and Spidey come to him. He's just really doing his own thing, murdering people. But in the movie, they kind of just gave him a goal right off the bat. I get for plot purposes, but I would have liked to see, like, the most we've seen of him is what, like, killing the security guards in Ravenclaw.
Yeah, and eating off the head of the priest, and that's it.
And that's it. That's 100% it. Like, and I'm like, this guy in the comics literally laughed and ate a baby. Like, come on, you could have shown a little bit more.
Exactly. Well, that's why the whole, we want it to be PG-13. If it was rated R, we probably would have seen that. He probably would have broken into an orphanage and started eating children.
Right. And see, now, if Carnage was to pull something like that, wouldn't it make sense to have a young Cletus Cassidy who wouldn't mind something like that?
Like, I want to feel disturbed when I see Carnage. I want to feel super disturbed. Because that's basically, it's a symbiote movie. You literally look at, like, the posters for these things. They're meant to be nightmare fuel. Look at that. I mean, like, if I were to see something like that, like Carnage going into, like, I don't know, an adoption center and eating everybody there and, like, leaving a trail of blood behind while he's just standing there munching on everything, that would rate it all right there. And it'd be I know this sounds wrong, but it'd be perfect because that's Carnage's character. You're like, and Killian said, you're literally bonded with a serial killer. You are a symbiote that kills for fun. Put them together, what do you get? A mass destructive symbiote that loves to kill for fun. But we didn't get to see that.
Yeah, I was also expecting him to, like, laugh while he kills. A little psychotic, psychoticness.
Honestly, for the voice that they used, I'm glad they didn't have him do that. Because that voice was okay. I definitely liked his I don't know, roar. It was great.
The roar, I love that. That was so good.
Yeah.
That was probably the scariest part. Like, when you see when he breaks out of the lethal interjection chamber, and next thing there's all this smoke, he just steps out and roars, just, and I'm like, oh god.
It was so
if
nice.
If they would have kept including more stuff like that, and add in what Brett said, like, him just murdering and killing with a young Cletus Cassidy that's still in his prime, that enjoys that kind of stuff as well. Perfect movie. No complaints.
It would have. Yeah. And, like, I don't know. Did you see any, like, blood or anything throughout the entire movie? Was there, like, even a speck of blood anywhere? Because you would think, like, whenever what's her face, the person who was holding Screech, whatever her name is, whenever she was being choked out, you would think, like, oh, the head's gonna be gone. There's gonna be blood everywhere. No, her body's perfectly intact. It's like, huh? What? I was so angry about that. It's like, dude, you had a perfect opportunity to like leave something behind. Like with the serial killer, this is also another thing, right? I mean, Cletus Cassidy, he likes to what? Leave a scene behind. He wants people to try to figure it out, right? But no, in this case, he doesn't like leave anything behind for like detectives to try to figure out. He just leaves an entire thing and is like, yep, that's it. Nope, whatever. I just didn't understand that because like I'm trying to think from like his perspective from was it 11 victims from the beginning?
I think it was
10 or 11. Yeah, he literally set everything up. He hid them. He set everything up, had like the different things on his wall, had like riddles, right? So for this one, you know, he could have like written on the floor and like the Carnage stuff. It's like this, and this. If you want to find me, do this, and this. But he didn't. He just left it there and then was like, yep, that's it.
Right. I mean, I understand wanting to go for the whole PG-13 aspect. That's cool. But maybe do that a little bit more on Venom side, not so much on Carnage side. Like for example, I want to actually see Carnage devouring the head off of somebody because that's what Carnage does. Now you can I guess downplay it with Venom, but for Carnage, no, I want to see blood when he attacks somebody.
Right. Like for instance, like in all horror movies, when you cut somebody's head off or you cut an arm off, there's blood everywhere. So like when you bite somebody's head, same thing with Venom biting off the head of Cletus, there was no blood, no nothing. It was just, yep, that's just it. It's like, that's not how that works, but okay. So, again, PG-13.
Right, that's, they had to go for the PG-13 aspect, but I feel like with the rated R, it would have been a lot better because there was so much more they could have done.
Right. Very much so.
And maybe we could get like a rated R version of Carnage in the future. And I mean, just to build off what you guys are saying, I would have liked to see Carnage act more erratically, because like you say, even in like as he was like moving through Ravencroft or whatever, he was very slow. He was very deliberate.
It's like he was planning it. He wasn't like trying to, just go crazy. Yeah. He was planning everything out. It's like, what?
Like, it's more predatory behavior I would have, like, assumed to see out of Venom more than Carnage. Carnage, he's a wild card. He's erratic. So, his entire look is chaotic. So, I feel like he should act that way, too. I feel like we saw more of that, like, when he was, like, ripping off cells and things like that and doing his whole tornado thing. Like, he was a little more quicker, more erratic or whatever. But,
yeah.
I feel like we didn't maximize Carnage the way we could have, but overall, it was all right. It was good.
And I mean,
right?
Oh, keep going. My bad.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Carnage is a new, like, you have to compare Carnage to a newborn child because Carnage is a newborn symbiote. A newborn child. They whine, they cry. That's like do that with Carnage, but in a more sadistic manner, where he's just he's sporadic, killing everybody, everything in sight. He doesn't know how to control himself. And, his host is enjoying it because that's what Cletus does. A little bit more, that's kind of more what they should have done. But I really don't agree. And I don't know if this is what Graham was going to say. I was just going to say I really don't like the fact that they killed Carnage off.
Oh, he's not dead. He's definitely coming back. There's no doubt about it. How? I don't know.
Oh,
yeah, how could they do that?
That was me trying to stand up.
I could just imagine, Killian, the whole, like, a baby. Imagine a baby Carnage. Like, it's not even the symbiote. It's just a child with the sadistic destruction thoughts that Cletus Cassidy has. I can just imagine that you say compare a child to Carnage. I'm like, damn, imagine a child with murderous intent.
Like,
oh yeah, like
that'd be scary as hell, dude. It's like Chucky all over again.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible. All right, now that we've talked about Carnage, let's talk about Venom and his character development from the first movie. Like, what was different? What did you all like? What would you not like?
I gotta be. I know they're supposed to be conflicted, but too much of something is not always going to be good. like too much bickering. Yeah, we get it. They're supposed to disagree on, pretty much the majority of everything they talk about, but I really just didn't like that. They tried to add this. Well, I don't know if it was just because Carnage was in the movie. They kind of took away from Venom's like his intimidation. Like people weren't even like afraid of Venom, whereas and they displayed it perfectly in the first one, in the first Venom, where like when he first comes out after Eddie crashes his motorcycle and he picks the security guy up and he's like uh, eyes, lungs, pancreas, so many snacks all of the time. Like that's kind of how Venom is supposed to be. Whereas in Venom 2, he's kind of like comedic relief. And I hate to say that because he's a fucking symbiote. He's supposed to be, pure on destruction. But yeah, like they definitely took away his intimidation. Now, I don't know if that's because they wanted to kind of give it more toward Carnage, and they really didn't do good with that. But I don't know. They could have at least kept his intimidation factor, not just, oh, Eddie, I don't know if I want to eat chickens and chocolate no more. Like,
I can't. They are best friends. I cannot eat chickens. It's like, bro, are you kidding right now?
Exactly. Yeah.
I feel like, and someone mentioned this, that No Way Home, they're gonna make Venom a lot more intimidating if he makes a cameo in there, and if not No Way Home, later on, because we'll get into that soon. But I feel like the intimidation aspect has to come back because if they're introducing him into the MCU. He's going to have to be. And how they're going to get to that point, I don't know. Because right now, like you said, comedic relief. There's not much scary about him, but he's meant to be scary. So maybe, and this is just a huge maybe, after the symbiote goes to Peter, and I guess we're talking about this now, after it goes to Peter, and it, it feels the power that Tom Holland has, or Spider-Man has, he won't want to go back. And he'll, like, take some of that power with him, but not, like, all of it, and then go to Eddie Brock again and have the, the signature spider thing on it and have more powers that way. Now, that's just a speculation. I don't know. But we'll get into that later whenever we get to the after credits scene.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, you're right. We'll save that for last. But overall character development, I mean, I guess besides intimidation, that the intimidation factor went down a bunch of notches for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the bickering, it was cool how they kind of played it in the first Venom because it's a symbiote living inside my body talking to me. Of course, I can see why they're always going to be bickering, but other than that, Venom's all around character. I mean, it stayed pretty much the same, but just the intimidation factor, that's where they kind of lost me.
Right. Yeah, they're going to have to change.
Like, I don't understand. I understand Carnage is in the movie, and Venom is technically supposed to be the good guy of the movie, but still, he's not to be taken lightly either.
Right. I think he's becoming too comfortable with humans. You know what I mean? Like, the whole Eddie...
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, yeah.
Like, he's not supposed to be comfortable with humans. Like, at all.
Right, like what's the lady name that owns the store?
Mrs. Chen.
Oh yeah, Mrs. Chen.
Talking to Mrs. Chen about his, how his day was and stuff. I'm like, no, that's, like you just kind of taken away from him at this point.
Yeah, you're just being a bit too comedic. It's like, like you look at Venom, like, because he had that one scene where he's at the party Venom. Like, how? No one's scared of him. Literally, no one is.
The worst part of the movie for me.
Party Venom?
The worst part. Yeah, I mean, I know that's gonna like make a lot of people mad because, oh my god, have you guys seen the memes for it?
Oh yeah.
Oh god. But other than that, yeah, the memes are good, but for the movie wise, I'm like, nah, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's going back to what Grant said. Maybe they're trying to, make it like make it more light for the MCU because obviously he's not. They can't be that dark for the because that's not how the MCU is. Right. So I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. Intimidation, especially with symbiotes, especially with Venom, plays a big role. So
right, I just don't know how they're gonna play it off. They've got like it's a hit or miss when it comes to this because as it stands now, bringing it into the MCU, knowing how scary Venom's supposed to look, it just I don't know, because I feel like at first, what the way it's going, all right, I feel like Tom Holland's Spider-Man and Eddie Brock's Venom are going to be friends. That's what I'm thinking, based off of the comedic aspect. They're not even going to, like, fight, you know?
Probably.
Right. Yeah.
So I just don't fully understand that. But, you know, that is what it is. All right, so what's next? We could talk about cinema. Okay, go ahead, my bad.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna agree with Killian. Like, that's like a reason why Venom is a favorite of mine, is just because he is like, you know, he's intimidating, he's terrifying, and he's like, gosh, they have the keyboard. Oh, he's intimidating, he's terrifying, and he's like, gosh, they have the keyboard. Intimidating, he's terrifying. Oh, hang on, like, I'm getting repeat. Gosh, they have the keyboard.
I'm getting the repeat too.
Yeah, sorry, he unmuted my computer.
Oh.
But yeah, like, so he's supposed to be terrifying, and like he just became funny and relatable in this movie. I was like, okay, man, like this is fun, but go back to being scary.
Yeah, please. That's how you're meant to be.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, we'll discuss. Like, I'm assuming we're about to get to like the post-credit scene.
Yeah. We're about to get there. We're about to get there.
So like, and I'll explore that in depth when we get to that point.
All right. Actually, we are at that point. Post-credit scene. Go. Whatever y'all got to say, go ahead. I'll give my input later on when everyone else says something.
Okay, so
everyone goes.
So,
everyone said it at the same time.
Everyone, yeah. I'm just gonna say it right here, right now. I really, especially with knowing how the MCU is, I really do not like the idea of Venom going into the MCU. You know how I feel. You guys know how I feel about the MCU. MCU is great. It's fantastic. Can be just a tad bit overrated at times, but I really don't like the idea of Venom going into the MCU. But as far as the post credit scene, I like how Eddie's just chilling there, and this thing, it's like, and let me guess, was that because of Loki or was it because of Doctor? Well, it can't be because of Doctor Strange's spell because he hasn't cast it yet.
Or
how did he get it?
Or this could be as soon as he casted it. Remember this, like, for instance, the same thing with like what's it called? I guess Black Widow is not really a good example. But it could be as he's casting. Remember in the trailer when it's like it's going through that thing and it's like distorting things. But it could also be Loki. It could be both of them. Who knows? But it's possibly in the time that he actually does the spell. So that's what I thought as soon as I saw it. But again, I could be wrong. I don't know. But yeah, you keep going, Killian. Sorry. Killian?
Lose him?
Are you here? Is he here?
Same thing as whatever. I'm sorry.
What? Oh, he's gone.
Oh, we lost him.
He's gone. So basically, as I was saying with that whole thing, what were y'all thinking whenever that happened, when that giant flash of light happened? Do you think it was like the merging of different multiverses?
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I noticed that the background changed. I was like, oh, that's got to be the multiverse. And I saw those like flashing lights.
Uh-huh.
And it sounded like it. And I also like that one scene, that one part where
there he is.
Or that one where after that light happened, and Venom's like, what the hell just happened? And then Eddie just like feels the towel. It's like, oh, that's just a towel. It looks like a giant.
I'm sorry I went out. I'm sorry I went off there.
You're good.
What did I miss? Because I know I left off as like, well, was it because of Loki, or because it can't be because of Doctor Strange because he hasn't casted the spell yet?
Well, I said it could also be during the time that Doctor Strange actually cast the spell back in No Way Home. It's a possibility because I mean it's not like he has to cast the spell right before, or I don't know how to explain it.
It's kind of like in Avengers Infinity War, how, like, you know, the snap happened, and then we have, like, a whole post-credit scene of, like, a few seconds before the snap, and
Oh,
then it
like
actually happening.
with Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm disappearing. Okay, I get what you guys are saying.
Yeah, so it could be that. It could be both. Because think about it. In the end credit scene, right? It was nighttime.
Yeah.
They're on the bed. As soon as the light flashed, it was morning. It was like it was daytime, and there was some dude in his room, and he's like, so he was transported or something like that to
The
the
background
MCU.
page too. It was from a city to a beach.
Oh yeah, that's true. That is true. So, you know, it also leads off the whole Sinister Six for No Way Home.
No, that leaves a possibility that... Sorry, I was just saying that leaves a possibility for that claw that we saw, like, in the background of the No Way Home trailer. It could be Venom rather than Lizard.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of speculation saying that it is Lizard, but honestly, I don't know. I hear that Venom's making a cameo, but I believe it's also stated that Rhino will also make an appearance, but like later on in the movie. But I'm not sure. I don't know.
Well, I heard a weird theory, and I want you guys' opinion on this. I heard a weird theory. Okay, so you guys remember how in the No Way Home trailer, Peter kind of was like, he do want some people to remember that he's Spider-Man, and me personally, and maybe I may be wrong. That's kind of how like when, because you know, in their universes, Doc Ock and them knew at the last they found out that Peter is Spider-Man. William Defoe Goblin found out that Peter was Spider-Man. So when he said that, and when they came, that's kind of how they were like, "Hello, Peter," even when he was in his Spider-Man form, because from their universes, they knew they're Spider-Man. You know, even though it was like right before they died.
Right.
It just
and I had it was a theory.
I have a guess. Sorry, I have a theory that that's the Doc Ock we saw in the trailer is actually a different Doc Ock we saw in Tobey Maguire. The original one died, but I feel like the Doc Ock we saw in No Way Home, that one, that was like a different Doc Ock in a different timeline. But in his timeline, he killed Spider-Man. Then after he killed him, he knew he then figured out it was Peter Parker. So then a few years later, when the multiverse collides, he then figures out there's another Spider-Man named Peter Parker, and then he's like, "Oh, hello, Peter."
Like variants? Do you think it's variants or actual like characters from the other movies? Because like
that could be a possibility.
Yeah, because think about it. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire's could in fact be variants. We have no idea, as Loki has shown that. Because they're not like the same. Remember, there's like Alligator Loki, there's another Loki. Right. So, I mean, honestly, I'm not positive. I feel, and I could be definitely wrong about this, and I want to say that I'm probably wrong, but Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man are variants of Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Oh, there you go. That could work.
Great one, Grant. Well, my theory was, that's kind of how like if you remember the post-credit scene where Venom kind of leans into the TV and he's like looking like that guy, as if Peter kind of looks familiar. That was, and somebody said this was a theory that I kind of was leaning toward. I don't know, and this is why I'm asking for you guys' opinion. Maybe, who knows? Maybe this Venom is a variant of the Venom symbiote that fought Tobey, where he kind of looks at Spider-Man as like, that kind of looks familiar, or like, you know, in some way he's seen that before, or maybe that's the direction they're going to head in.
Maybe, but I'm not. Okay, so in the Loki series, did every single variant go through the exact same thing as the original did? Just in different ways?
No, but a lot of them had similar experiences.
Okay,
and something else that you got to remember, though, is that, like, right before that whole thing happened, Venom said that all the things that the symbiotes have experienced over the course of universes,
light years away or something like that,
and light years away would blow his tiny mind. So, like, if we go deep enough, like if we go like comics, like at the beginning of all realities, you have Null, the
Oh
god of the
yeah.
symbiotes, right?
Right.
And so it's not impossible to say, based on what Venom said, and with the context of Null, that Null could predate the multiverse and therefore could extend his influence not just across star systems and galaxies, but across realities as well.
That's true. So like Venom would already know about all these Spider-Men as well. So it's not like, yeah, I guess so. That would make sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so Venom would be able
and it
to.
wouldn't be too far fetched because if I'm not mistaken, isn't Venom the first symbiote Null created?
No, I don't think so. Is he?
What was the first one that he created?
I thought it was Venom because he's the oldest. That's why he's quote unquote the weakest.
Who was the first symbiote?
I do know that before Null ever comes, they're gonna be introducing Toxin because there is a comic actually where Toxin does come into existence, and Venom and Carnage wants to kill Toxin because Toxin is like the strongest one out of all of them, so to speak, since he's born as the 1,000th symbiote in Venom's lineage. That would he wanted to kill it for the sole purpose of just getting rid of it, and while Venom wanted to actually help him to become a symbiote in society, so to speak. So like nothing that could go insane, because I believe it stated that the 1,000th symbiote can lose control and just wipe everything out. So Venom wanted to help him out, and since Venom thought to himself, well, he's with the cops, so that would probably help, but he didn't know that for sure. So that was one of the comics that happened, but like Spider-Man's there, but he's just there to be there. Same thing with Black Cat, but she hasn't been introduced yet, so we can't really say that yet. Neither has Mary Jane Watson, so there's a lot.
I mean, technically we have her with Zendaya, but
I don't think that's actually like MJ though. It's a different name, right? Just happens to have the initials MJ.
I don't know. Like, the MCU's taken like creative liberties that like kind of leave a lot up to question at this point.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
So I don't know. This could be like the Mary Jane Watson of Tom Holland's reality, I guess, so to speak.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
It's weird. It's super weird because then you have to ask yourself about the whole Venom thing. Like, how does he fit into the MCU after he already knows about Spider-Man? How? Don't know. It was never mentioned in any of the Venom movies. But like after this movie, how does he fit in? Is it like the Spider-Man's already beaten the Sinister Six and now it's just Venom? And he has to deal with Venom from here on out as like a cameo character, so to speak? Maybe? I mean, I don't know.
Sorry,
No, I think you're onto something.
What was the question?
The question was, since, Venom is now in the MCU, so we think, how will he play into the MCU as a whole? Because now you've got the Sinister Six whenever Spider-Man beats them and No Way Home. Is Venom just going to be like the main villain that's never beaten, but is like just there as a cameo in almost like every movie or whatnot?
So, on that, like, I have a couple theories of like as far as like how things proceed in No Way Home.
Mm-hmm.
Either, I'm gonna go from least likely to what I think is gonna be most likely.
Okay.
Least likely, I think Venom will team up with the Sinister Six to fight Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
For the pure assassination aspect of it all. Two, what I think could happen is that in their final fight or whatever, if like the other Spider-Men are there, like Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, Venom makes an appearance as well to fight alongside the Spider-Men. With
Okay.
the idea of like, these guys can't kill my Spider-Man. I want to kill him, or I'm not done with him yet, basically, or whatever.
Okay. All right.
Or what I think is most likely is that we won't see Venom until whatever the post-credit scene is for No Way Home.
All right.
And so, and as far as like his interaction with Tom Holland from here on out, Venom has like his character development has been an interesting one for years. Like he's best summarized as like an anti-hero. Like obviously he's just a straight up bad guy at first. Like the only thing he wanted was to kill Peter Parker. Then he evolved. He wanted to become a lethal protector. Then he kind of went back to just hating Spider-Man, only wanted to kill him. Then he became like a self-interested anti-hero. Then he became like a hero with just like messed up motives. So like what I could see is like he could switch back and forth. I think initially we'll see him like, if my third theory proves to be true, we'll see him want to fight Spider-Man, hate him, and then later on down the road we'll get like appearances of him, and he'll like be a constantly recurring character in the MCU. Because Spider-Man is not his only like
Villain.
interaction. Yeah, well, like there was a period of time where Venom joined the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I think there's one storyline where Venom single-handedly saves the universe.
Good lord.
Like he assimilates and copies the DNA of every single living thing that has ever lived, and then creates an army to fight something, and then like releases like a cosmic blast that destroys the universe, but then uses his own DNA to restart everything.
Good lord.
Like he basically does a hard restart on the universe.
Based on how his character looks now, I don't see him being able to do that. He'll make some like weird quip right beforehand, like I'll find like, "Oh, a selfie time before I destroy the universe," ding, or something like some stupid stuff like that. But that'd be interesting
Honestly,
if they actually saw that.
Eddie, I am inevitable.
Snaps. That'd be hilarious. Imagine Venom with the gauntlet, though.
Oh god.
That would be okay. Honestly, like Venom, I gotta be honest. I love his humor, just because he's like, I totally could do this, and the only reason he doesn't is because, like, his best friend tells him no.
Exactly.
Like,
he's like, oh, come on.
We've all got that friend who would just do anything, but if like as soon as their best friend says no, like don't do that, they won't.
Exactly.
I know that
just to
because
keep him
I
out of
am
trouble.
that friend.
Just keep him out of trouble because they know that if they do it, they're gonna get in so much trouble.
Exactly. I'll be damned if this doesn't happen. But how I see like Venom getting his spider logo is going to be like he sees like Tom Holland's Spider-Man logo or something like that.
I'm back.
He goes like, I like the look of that.
I want it.
Eddie, let's have one. And he's like, no, man, that's cliche. You can't take somebody else. Too late, I have it.
It's too late. I have it now.
Wait.
Is it part
Not mine,
What did I miss?
Oh, we were just
quite a bit.
yeah.
Where did we leave you? Where did you?
Oh, we were just talking about the variants. Variant versions.
Oh, that was okay. So we talked about like how it could be, and then how like Venom throughout the comics has actually Spinach, you can explain it better. I'm gonna go to the restroom. You can explain it better than I can.
Yeah, so I'll go through the quick version. Basically, Venom has had like a very complicated like history through the comics. Like he started as a straight up villain, then he became an anti-hero as the lethal protector. Then he became more of a self-interested hero, and now he's more of like a hero, but he's got questionable methods, obviously. And there's a lot of possibilities.
Well,
Yeah, and we could see this manifest in a lot of ways in the MCU because, like, even in the comics, like, he has teamed up with Spider-Man, he's teamed up with the Avengers, he's teamed up with the Guardians of the Galaxy. And so there's a lot for him to be able to do. There's even a storyline where Venom single-handedly saves the universe by copying the DNA of everything and then pressing a hard restart on the universe and basically resurrecting everybody using his DNA copies that he made. And also just talking about how like Venom could, like he could start like as an ally to Spider-Man, and then have like some disconnect with him later on that'll cause him to fight him in a later movie. And then, but ultimately, I think at the end of like the storyline and everything, like Venom will be a good guy. Like he's not gonna be someone that we're gonna see just killed off like Ultron or Thanos. Like he's gonna make a return. Like he'll be someone that we see a lot from here on, just because people like him, kind of like Deadpool.
Right. So with that being said, especially with him basically now being in the MCU, we do know that there is a Flash Thompson in the MCU. Do you guys see an Agent Venom thing happening or no?
So that's an interesting thing because that's going to require a lot of things. One, it's going to require a bit of aging on Flash Thompson's part.
Same thing. I'm sorry to interject. That's also going to involve Flash Thompson and Eddie Brock to meet, have like some sort of conversation, and then Venom to take over Flash's body. Why? I have no idea, because why would you want to leave Eddie Brock? Because think about it. The relationship that Eddie Brock and Venom have, that's like you after this movie you can't really say that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, after this movie you can't really say that. So the like unbreakable bond, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He probably uses Flash to find Spider-Man, even though he
Ooh,
knows it's Peter Parker.
yeah,
But
that's
then
a
he
good one.
goes back to Eddie and then fights him. I don't know. That's what I think.
I mean, but like I like the idea, but that doesn't seem like Venom's character.
Actually, you just reminded me of something. So in the comics, like Venom was acquired by the symbiote himself. He was acquired by the U.S. government, and was given to Eddie Brock. But Eddie Brock was prevented from using the symbiote for more than 24 hours to prevent permanent bonding.
Mm-hmm.
So, given what we've seen, like in Venom's world, basically after a certain amount of time, like Venom will ultimately just kill his host, things like that, if it's not like a perfect match. So what I could see happening is like him working with Shield to temporarily loan Venom to Flash Thompson to undergo missions or whatever before ultimately returning to Eddie Brock for like sustenance, for survivability and things like that. So I could see him like working with Shield or something like that.
Interesting. How do you think that would like play out? Like, how do you think it would like happen to like get to Shield?
Yeah, because at this point, I don't even think there is a Shield anymore.
No, but I think there's like some sort of higher functioning like. Is there a higher functioning organization at this point? I know Maria Hill and Nick Fury are.
I think there has to be
kicking around.
There has.
Yeah, but they're not Shield anymore. Though.
No, they're not Shield, but like I feel like there's something like.
There's a name.
Like, Stark's like Avengers campus or whatever is technically still a thing.
That's true, but you never see Nick Fury or Hill there.
No, but I'm sure we'll see them again.
Right.
Like, there's got to be something. Like, there wasn't even a Shield like in Spider-Man: Far From Home.
That's true.
Like, but Fury and Hill are still doing their thing or whatever.
Oh, it's like an underground kind of operation or something.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So, something along those lines. Like, I could see like there being like a sort of threat that like Flash Thompson has the training for, but Venom has the arsenal for, or something like that. And so they approach Eddie Brock with like a deal or something to help them out, like amnesty or something, or government protection.
Right.
I could see like at this point Venom is like he's still wanted, he's still like a fugitive or whatever, and so he's like constantly on the run, but still doing his Venom thing. and Nick Fury comes to Eddie Brock's like, look, I can give you government protection and amnesty within like certain parameters if you help us out with this. And so that's when they go, okay, yeah, let's do Agent Venom.
Right.
Well, for the Agent Venom thing, that's going to me personally. That's going to require a complete rewrite of the Flash that we have in the Spider-Man movies now. The whole nerdy kind of just like Peter Parker, but slightly never like very slightly cooler. Yeah, that just because that's not how Flash Thompson is at all in the comics. So
Isn't
it's just
he
going to
blonde?
be a new actor.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think
he
like
is blonde.
I think the actor in this movie, like, he dyed his hair blonde or something.
Oh,
like
he did
that.
in this movie. He did dye it blonde.
It looks really gross.
Yeah, it's like, why would you just recast the character if you don't like it?
Or what I could see them doing is like just like, you know, the whole like multiverse switch, just recast the character that way.
That would work. I mean, in the grand scheme of things. But I feel like Agent Venom. Oh, sorry, keep going. My bad.
I was just gonna say like, but who knows? Maybe instead, because we know the MCU has a history, a reputation of tweaking things their way a little bit from the comics, just ever so slightly. Maybe instead of Flash Thompson being Agent Venom, maybe Ned, because Spider-Man has a history of his friends, becoming like heroes, or in Tobey Maguire's and Andrew cases villains. But maybe I do feel like Ned is going to be something. He's going to be something more than.
Well, he's going to be the Hobgoblin, I think. If I remember correctly.
God, really?
Yeah, he might be the Hobgoblin. There's been rumors going around that he might. I mean,
so there is a possibility because, I've got some slight insider knowledge. One of my friends she actually has Ned's the actor Jacob Batalon's. She has his phone number. Like, tried taking her out on a couple dates and things like that. But like, this is common knowledge now. But he would send her like photographs of like him working out, and he's actually pretty cut now. Like he's getting pretty muscular. Like he's not the fat chunky Ned that he used to be.
That's Hollywood for you.
Oh yeah.
There is a possibility of like Ned like taking on that persona of Hobgoblin.
Mm-hmm. I definitely see it. I do. But with back to Agent Venom. Oh man, I'm trying to think. Where was I going to go with this? I feel like the only way Agent Venom will be casted or like will show up is if Carnage comes back or Toxin is back. But then again, Toxin could just be strictly a Venom-based movie. I have no idea, but I feel like if they do that, they're gonna have to include Carnage as well if they're playing off the comic aspect. And I would love to. What was that?
Was that the original reason for Agent Venom becoming a thing?
I don't believe so. I'm not really positive. I'm a bit iffy on why Agent Venom came to be. But I do know that one comic that involves Toxin might have something to do with it. But there's so many comics that just retcon pretty much everything that's happened, or it's just a new storyline. But I would love to see Carnage against Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I would love to see that.
Yeah, no, I think so.
Trying to see where.
Hold
on, where? Ooh, Agent Venom. You can keep going, Killian.
I'm sorry. Where does Venom fit in the MCU? Like, he just I don't know. I am a firm believer that I know Disney wants they want a universe. They want a big universe and a multiverse. And I understand that, but from a Sony perspective, I wouldn't give Disney all of that. I wouldn't give them that. Like, it's cool to have your own universe and your own way of doing things still. And there are some people that I just feel like Marvel, like Venom. I don't feel like Venom will sit right in the MCU. I mean, what if we're bringing power scaling into it, for a second, when he just by entering the MCU, he's automatically at least planetary off bat.
Mm-hmm.
right? Just by being in the universe, he hasn't even done just off bat. He's planetary. And they're definitely, if you guys think, this Venom is bad, Venom 2 with no intimidation, oh God, Disney's going to water him completely down.
It better not, honestly. Like,
Well,
if Disney knows what's good for them, they're not going to water down Venom any more than it already has been.
yeah, because what are they going to do to him?
Oh.
How could they possibly water him down more, make him not funny and just, like, an emotion, like, have no emotion whatsoever? Because if that's the case, that's going to be terrible.
Because that's like half of Venom's appeal right now,
Mhm.
is that he is funny.
Right.
Like, and so if they took that away, like, and he's already lacking in intimidation at the moment, like, if they took that away, like, there's really not much to Venom left anymore other than a set of teeth.
Exactly.
Right, because I don't know, Eddie Brock's personality is kind of all over the place for me. I mean, you have this, he's supposed to be very, like, unusual. Then you have, like, this really, really cool guy, Tom Hardy, playing him, so you can't really get that vibe. Like, he's supposed to be, like, an unusual guy, which is, like, not how he was in the comics. And focusing just on Eddie Brock here for a second. So Venom's personality is what definitely carries the movie. So so far. But I'm just curious, what do you guys think of Eddie Brock's personality? Better yet, what do you guys think of Tom Hardy's portrayal of Eddie Brock?
I like him because Eddie Brock was like, he was cool. Like, Eddie Brock has always kind of been, like, with the exception of a couple comics that I've read, like, Eddie Brock has always, like, been kind of like a cooler version of Peter. Like, they have their parallels, like, like, lack of parents, lack of parental figures, and just kind of like, but, like, trying to be, like, good students in school and things like that. Eddie just kind of got the short end of the stick. And so, like, I don't know. I like Tom Hardy's portrayal of Eddie Brock, because Eddie Brock, I feel like, is not like a psychopath. He's just someone motivated by frustration and revenge.
Right.
If that makes sense. Like, he's there, but Venom enables him to, fulfill some of his darker desires.
Right, like, remember what I said at the beginning, how, like, it's two different mindsets working together as ones, while Venom is, like, distracted, he's erratic and chaotic, while, Eddie Brock is more goal-driven, he's, I guess, not strategic, strategic and focused, and they have to balance each other out. That's why, like, the neural connection of both of them, that's why they're able to work so well, and in a sense, but, they constant bickering, that's just how that works. So I mean, without that, you'd basically have a Carnage. You just basically have a Carnage. You wouldn't really agree on anything, and it would be like one person working, and while the other one's just not, or just always bickering, but to the point where it's like, it's not symbiotic,
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, so something like that. Also, I looked up about the Agent Venom thing. Apparently, in the comics, it's when the Avengers decide to confront Spider-Man after he started showing more violent behavior. Flash, clad in an Iron Man armor, I don't know what that means, helped them defeat Spider-Man. Flash also convinced the symbiote to return to him because becoming Venom once more. So, maybe Eddie... I don't know. Maybe Eddie Brock will just be like, die. He'll probably die, and then Venom will have to...
No, I don't like that idea.
I mean, I don't either. Not this show. Like, the guy just been introduced into the MCU. You're gonna kill Eddie Brock off?
I mean, I'm not saying like right now, but like eventually it's gonna get to that point. I feel like it might.
And as far as the MCU going, what do we have here? So it's because that's who it seems to all be revolving around. Is Spider-Man the new flagship character of the MCU, or what?
Yes. Yeah, I feel like Spider-Man kind of is, like, with Captain America and Iron Man, how they were like, there. I mean, I feel like Spider-Man is, because wasn't Spider-Man like the first character ever created by Stan Lee, right?
Yeah, he was at least Stan Lee's favorite.
Yeah, so having the MCU revolve around him and like all these other powerful entities, I guess that works, but then like bringing in other characters along the way, straying away from like Spider-Man in a sense. It's basically what they're doing is they're revamping it. You know what I mean? But not like revamping it to where it's like everything's different now. So like at the beginning it was Captain America and Iron Man. You start expanding those stories, bringing in other characters, and then once you hit Endgame, you come back to the center, being Spider-Man, and then you're going to expand off of that, introduce new characters, and then do the same thing all over again. So it's like basically a triangle in a sense, like it's going out and then it comes into it like in the center, and then it's another triangle, goes out. I don't know if that makes sense, but like something like that.
Yeah, right. I was just asking because I kind of noticed, like, everything has kind of. I mean, don't get me wrong. You got the little shows here and there, like Loki, WandaVision, Captain. What was it? Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm sorry, and but it seems like mainstream wise, like movie wise, Spider-Man is kind of who they want to like revolve everything around.
As it stands, yeah, that and I wouldn't say Thor, but I feel like they're trying to get there in a sense. Not really.
Well, something you have to consider right now is the fact that other who you got to look at this from Disney's point of view is like who could you actually make like the flagship character? Can't do that. Tony Stark's dead, so you can't do that with him. Cap is effectively dead, so you can't do that with him. Thor is kind of like basically decided, nah, I'm not doing this anymore. So you can't do it with him no more either.
Mm-hmm.
And so like who's left? Like who's an iconic character that's left that you can still do stuff? Or like that
Bucky!
you can still,
You can use Bucky.
Hey, not everyone, like, Bucky's not iconic enough of a character. Like, nobody knew who the Winter Soldier was until Captain America, the Winter Soldier came out. Like, unless you were a comics fan, which, just gotta be honest, not many people were until the Marvel movies started becoming popular.
It's the same thing with Carnage, like, father, and people are like, what? How does that, what? So the people who read the comics are like, oh yeah, well everyone knows that Carnage is the son of Venom, but people who don't, they're like, I don't know what that means. I don't get it.
Or it'd be like, the monster, going to the MonsterVerse, for example, it'd be like making the flagship character for the MonsterVerse Rodan, other than Godzilla or Kong. And the majority of people are going to be like, what the freak is a Rodan?
What the freak is a Rodan?
Yeah, people are just not familiar with like Rodan, but if you say Godzilla or Kong, people instantly know who that is.
Right, exactly. Everyone knows that.
So in that aspect, it does make more sense to use Spider-Man. I mean, because he's like pretty much the last known one standing,
Exactly.
Yeah, something like that, because he's like a fan favorite. I mean, he's been around for how many years?
Wow, the 30s? No, he wasn't created before Batman. I don't know.
Around the 50s.
Yeah, I think it was the 50s. When was Spider-Man created?
Yeah, then they made that god awful. Was it Japanese or was it American? They made that god awful Spider-Man movies from the 70s.
I don't even remember that one.
Oh yeah, man. He had some guy that was like 46 playing Spider-Man, and like, oh god.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah,
1962. It was 1962.
Yeah.
Also, the new movies that are coming out in Phase 4, I think, are the Fantastic Four, the Mutants, Falcon, Jane Foster. Oh, that's right. Jane Foster, She-Hulk, Spider-Man, Loki, and Moon Knight.
Okay, this is going to be the third reboot of the Fantastic Four, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't have any hope for it.
Yeah, man. I mean, only thing I like about it is, if I hope I get his name right, John Krasinski is supposed to be Mr. Fantastic.
He better be.
Yeah, I feel like that's the only person who could play that.
Right. Because what was the dude name that played him in that god awful reboot, Miles Teller?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, he didn't do a good job at all. That whole friend, I don't know. I mean, and of course there's Michael B. Jordan, the guy next door character. Yeah. So.
The Thing, I feel like the CGI for The Thing is definitely gonna like screw up for some reason.
I mean, they never really been there with. I mean, I don't know. It's that reboot kind of def. Hopefully, if we get the Fantastic Four, we get a great Doctor Doom with an actual Doctor Doom origin and gives him his power.
Right. I would. Yeah. I'd like to see a comic accurate Doctor Doom.
Right, and maybe who knows? Maybe that can be the new Thanos because Doctor Doom in the comics is OP, man. Maybe that can be the new Thanos. Or I think they're gonna use Galactus for it. But...
Oh, they're gonna use Kang and then Galactus. I'm positive or something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know. And Venom. I guess Venom put Venom in the MCU. Hopefully, we'll see what he's made of.
Right.
I don't know. I just felt like I would have went. I guess Marvel's in a rush. I don't really see why they're rushing. I mean, they're kind of ahead on the scoreboard as far as superhero movies go. But
I think it's just.
I would have went for like one more movie, or I don't know, or maybe did Venom 2 a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
But if you knew you weren't going to shoot that high with Venom 2, I would have went for one more movie and then maybe nod at Venom being into the MCU.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they're rushing things a little bit, like low key.
Yeah, they are like God, that isn't the Eternals movie coming out next month?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, next month. It's coming out next month.
Yeah, and then the month after you got No Way Home, and I'm like, okay, Marvel, it's okay to slow it down. You take your foot off the gas.
Yeah.
But
who are you trying to race right now?
right, like you're already ahead.
Yeah, well, like you can't if you're not pushing yourself while you're ahead, someone else is pushing to catch up to you. So that's really what they're worried about.
Who, DC?
God, and I'm a die-hard DC fan, and people know this. I'm a die-hard DC fan. I don't know what the hell Warner Brothers is up
to, man. I tried it with the Snyder Cut, and I was like, yeah, that was good. And they tried it with the Suicide Squad. It's like, all right, that's good. You got a good start. Now, while they do have a good start, true, there is one movie. They can make one movie, and it all come crashing down. That's what's sad about Warner Bros. And the DC universe, which is super sad because they have so much potential.
Oh yeah, it's like when it comes to movies, they're like, yeah, it's like they're focusing more on their shows like Titans, Doom Patrol, stuff like bro, get the movies. Marvel is like light years ahead of you guys right now.
Exactly, because I don't know, maybe they think people will watch the shows when in fact people are more prone to watch the movies than they are the shows. I don't know. I guess it just depends on where it's being broadcasted. Like the CW, who watches the CW?
Right. Yeah. I think that whole verse is pretty much dead at this point now. Back in 2014, you would have had me, but now it's time to up your game a little bit now.
Mm-hmm. That is very true.
And well, and going back to Venom being in the MCU, because now I wish we thought about this earlier. He won't. I don't think Venom will be mainstream right off the bat. I feel like he's kind of going to have to work his way. I'm talking about movie-wise and like appearance-wise in the MCU. He will definitely have to work his way up because, if I'm not mistaken, that's kind of what the MCU is doing too. They're kind of getting a street level look. And, Spider-Man is obviously on top. He's like the world threats superhero, and they have the street level superheroes. Kind of like because I don't know if you guys know this. That's what they're doing because I think Daredevil is going to be in Spider-Man No Way Home, or at least Matt Murdock. Let me say that. It's Peter's lawyer.
Right.
And I can see Venom starting out on that level. Like he's in the MCU, but he's not like main tier right away. He's kind of like low tier at first, and then he kind of works his way up because they're going to bring the Punisher into the MCU. Basically, because like none of those shows are canon anymore. Like the Netflix shows, they aren't canon anymore.
Yeah, they're not. At all.
Yeah, so yeah, they're trying to bring all of them into the verse, and I can definitely now since I've really stepped back and thought I can see Venom fitting in somewhat, but it's like people are thinking he's going to be like he's going to be up there with Spider-Man and like the big. I'm like, no, he's probably going to have to start. So you got to start somewhere first, right?
Exactly. Start off with cameos for a little bit.
Right, and then you work your way up. But Marvel has the best game plan, out right now. So
Yeah, pretty much. I completely agree with that. All right, so do we have anything else we want to talk about, or do we think we covered it all?
No, I think we just about covered everything. I was gonna say one more thing about the MCU is honestly, like after No Way Home, like I might be done with the MCU. I'm kind of burnt out with all their stuff.
yeah, like they're reaching pretty far at this point.
They really are. Because I mean, unless they, this is another topic for another time, but the whole Hulk aspect, the whole World Breaker Hulk kind of thing, they're gonna have to fix that. I don't know how they're gonna do that, but they got to.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we can end on this note right here.
Okay.
2021. Who would you guys give it to, DC or Marvel?
Well, in terms of games, movies, or just as a whole?
Oh, as a whole, all that combined.
Well, since the year's not over yet, I would say in terms of, I guess, like announcements and like knowing what's going to be. Well, like that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing. That's gonna be for like years. Well, actually, no, it was announced in 2021. So
I feel like this has been a year for DC. Like Marvel has had a presence. Like we've gotten their TV shows or whatever, but nothing's really like shined. Like everyone rants and raves about Shang-Chi. I haven't even seen it. Like
it was good. I liked it.
And so like I feel like DC has made some more significant like happenings and things like that. Like didn't we get was the Snyder Cut this year? Yes,
yeah.
it was.
Yeah, it was this year. Yeah, it was this year.
And then we had Suicide Squad, which was a great movie, which is so much fun. But yeah, until like No Way Home comes out, I would say that DC's kind of taking the cake this year.
Yeah, I'd say so too. I mean, once No Way Home comes out, depending on how fans take it, that could maybe could solidify it or just make it even better for DC. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was the Venom Let There Be Carnage movie review. Thank you all to those who watched. Thank you, Spinach. Thank you, Killian, for joining. And yeah, I will see you all in the next one. Peace.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.
Deuces.
See ya.